Traditions are sacred in the South. The Masters, SEC football, and fried chicken anytime. Now, add one more. Pull up a chair, fix your glass, and get ready for some good old-fashioned Southern charm. Welcome to Success and Sweet Tea, a podcast dedicated to your success in business, lifestyle, and relationships, all with a shot of Southern magic. And now, coming to you from deep in the heart of the Southland, get ready for an engaging conversation with your new favorite Southern couple, Doug and Vicki Miles.
Hello, everybody. This is Doug Miles, and I'd like to welcome you today to the next episode of Success and Sweet Tea. And I'd like to let you know that today we really have something that you're going to enjoy, a lot in store for you, and we need to get rolling on this, so let's get with it.
I'm Vicki, and it's also good to be with you today on our next episode of Success and Sweet Tea, because today we have Greta Lambert, our special guest who has just retired from the Alabama Shakespeare Festival with 38 years of experience there. She retired as the Deputy Artistic Director, but that's only the beginning of all the things that we're going to get to talk to Greta about today. So it's our pleasure to get to share with you her wonderful experiences. And you know, our thing with Success and Sweet Tea, Doug, is always to talk about the stories of the South.
Right.
And always allow our guests to tell their story in their way. So today we get to do that with Greta. And Greta, start us from the beginning. How in the world did you get 38 years in with Alabama Shakespeare Festival?
Oh, that is a long story. I was living in New York, trying to be a New York actor, and it had taken me years and years to get to New York from University of Florida. Well, first University of Montevallo, then University of Florida, then I went to DC for a few years. Finally got to New York, got an agent, and the first job she submitted me for was the Alabama Shakespeare Festival. And I had to have an agent. You have to pay the commission.
Yes.
So I, kicking and screaming, I came to Montgomery, and they were just finishing the building. At first they just had the shops and the offices and the rehearsal spaces. So we were the first people in that building.
And you're speaking of the Blunt Cultural
Yes,
Park,
yes.
the new Shakespeare Theater there.
Mm-hmm. And literally on opening day, they were tamping down sod. You had to wear a hard hat to get into the actual theater for weeks while we rehearsed. And there was just something about being in Montgomery that was like putting on a pair of old shoes. It just fit.
Yes.
It just fit, and I loved it.
Well, the irony that you went all the way to New York for this incredible career, and then they say to you, your first assignment is go back to Alabama. But what an incredible experience that turned out to be. I guess it's just another confirmation that where we think we're going to go isn't always where we wind up. Would that be true for you?
Oh, very much so. I think as actors, I guess any career, we are taught that success is Broadway, it's getting that Tony, getting that Oscar award, and to work in regional theater, that's success? Yes.
But I would
For
say
me.
the Alabama Shakespeare Festival isn't the normal local place,
No,
right?
It's not your ordinary theater. Absolutely
No.
not. Is
It is an extraordinary place. And the thrill, I'm from Alabama, from Birmingham.
Yes.
And the thrill of standing backstage on that opening night in my beautiful Titania fairy dress and my blue hair with the crown, and hearing the excitement in the audience of the people, it was everything I could do not to just weep with joy
Yes.
and pride
Yes.
that I was going to be part of this magnificent theater in Alabama. So it was thrilling.
Yes. Well, you've had so many wonderful experiences, no doubt, but over 100 performances. As I was looking at some of the different ones that you've done, We could just start going down the list. Doug, you were looking at this earlier.
There's lots of credits on there, I can tell you that.
The Two Gentlemen of Verona, Much Ado About Nothing, The Comedy of Errors, and on and on and on. Macbeth. So many different wonderful experiences.
Yes.
When you were just getting started, where did you think you were going to go with your career?
Well, I have to back up a little further.
Sure.
When I was a kid, the way I bonded with my dad was he watched Mission Impossible, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., I Spy, Honey West, all the spy shows.
Sure.
And I thought it was so cool to be able to speak with, foreign accents and dress in disguises. And so I wanted to be a secret agent.
Yes.
Well, I soon realized that's kind of crazy. That's kind of dangerous. And my mom said that I was always the person in class who would want to read something out loud or would want to act out with puppets, a story. And it just kind of snowballed from there that I kept taking acting classes, and my drama teacher at Montevallo, Nell Salamone, took me by the hand to Montevallo and introduced me to the chairman of the department, and so I was on my way.
I love that you still remember who helped you have that first experience, because that's really usually the way it works. I also like the fact that you enjoyed the accents in some of the spy movies, because it has been said that we in the South have our own accent.
Do you think?
Oh, well, I'm not really sure,
just
but I have
listen
heard
to
that
me.
a time or two. But no, that I love the fact that you got started at Montevallo. And then from there, your next step was?
I went to the University of Florida to get my master's degree. And from there, I went to D.C. and just started playing great roles. And that's where I learned that was success for me, was getting better at what I do. And you do that by playing roles, learning how to do it on your feet. Training is wonderful, and I value my training. But the best training I had was on stage, playing roles, the act of creating them in rehearsal. That's where I really grew as an actor, and I've been so lucky to play amazing roles.
You really have.
Yes.
Yeah, I think right around 100, like you said earlier, that's no small feat. If you take that and you look at it on a per year basis, that's quite a few productions per year.
Yes.
That keeps you very, very busy, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Very busy,
Yeah.
but happy.
But everything from Driving Miss Daisy to Shakespeare.
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit, if we could, just a minute, about Driving Miss Daisy while we were here, because
Okay.
I was just some reading on Driving Miss Daisy, and you did a performance of Driving Miss Daisy, you and another gentleman. Tell me about that. I know that had to be a lot of fun, but not to mention what a challenge it would be to carry a show, you two, and then you doing your solo theater as well. How to carry that for an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, and only have one intermission.
Yeah.
It's difficult, I know.
It is. But I'll tell you, once you get out there, if you've rehearsed, you just kind of start on the road and drive, literally.
Yes.
Drive Miss Daisy. James Bowen played Hoke, and he and I were friends before, so we were able to develop a relationship together. And then Brick Burkus played my son, who is the other character in the play. And the beauty of being part of a company is that when you work with other actors that you kind of start on level 6 of the work. Right. You don't have to start that beginning, hi, how are you? Do you like to do this? You just get to the work. And James and I just had a beautiful time exploring that relationship.
Right.
And that's really what plays are about the relationships. And so it was very memorable.
How long in your career was it before you did that? What year did you do that?
Oh gosh, I have no idea.
Did it take you a long time to get your courage up to do that?
Yes, because maybe I was mid 40s and she starts out age 70.
Right.
So, yeah, that was some homework I had to do.
And somebody
had
had
to-
to do some good makeup.
Some makeup.
Me.
You?
But we have a fantastic costume
Yes.
and wig shop at Alabama Shakespeare Festival, so they really helped me create the physicality that I envisioned for Miss Daisy.
You know, you talked about the relationships that you develop. Actually, that's really true of any aspect of work. When the relationships are there, the work is easier.
Yes.
It's better. It's more fulfilling.
Yeah.
You're better at it as a general rule.
And you challenge each other.
You do. You really do. But I can only imagine what that synergy must have been like, where you had to play the roles, and I can only imagine because I've never been an actor, but I've always admired the fact that you could be anybody you wanted to be on stage. Talk a little bit about what that feels like as an actor.
A lot of it is about finding characters in yourself. What you have in common with the character is kind of where you start. And there were basically 3 roles that are highlights for me in discovering and can kind of explain that process.
Well, what were those 3? What were your favorites?
When I played Blanche Dubois, it was probably one of my most challenging roles. Not only Tennessee Williams' language, which is beautiful but very difficult.
Yes.
But she breaks. And I had to find that in myself because I had to break right before your eyes. And so the only way to do that truthfully is to find that somehow in me, that edge of madness.
Right.
So it was.
That's got to be exhausting.
It was. It was.
I can only imagine. and then not only do you do that tonight, you retool and do that tomorrow.
That's
on
exactly
next
where my
performance.
head was, Doug. You don't just do it once. You
No,
have to keep
over and over.
breaking.
8
Yes.
times a week.
How many?
8 times
8
a
times a
week.
week.
Whoa.
Yes.
8 times. That's almost beyond what I can comprehend. Having to emotionally go through that
Yes.
for on a daily basis and twice
Twice one day.
on one day.
Yes, twice on Saturdays.
Twice on Saturday. That would just be something that would just be a taxing
It is.
thing to ask of someone.
So that would be an example of an emotional breakdown. What were some of the other roles that caused great challenges for you?
Well, there was one that I wanted to play from the 5th grade. When I was in the 5th grade, I saw a high school production of, now it's supposed to be bad luck to say the name out loud, Macbeth.
Oh, yes.
But I'm not superstitious. And so I wanted to play Lady Macbeth since I was in the 5th grade, and it took about 35 years to get the opportunity. So she was in my head for years, just kind of percolating and
Yes.
simmering. And because I had done Blanche, I knew how to find the darkness because she too breaks. When the one person in her life, Macbeth, kind of goes off the rails to do his own thing or whatever.
Yes.
So that was also challenging.
You like complicated characters.
Yes. Oh, I do. I do.
You don't go for the light,
Oh, yeah.
trivial. No, give me the steak. Throw me the steak.
Exactly. It's true though. That's the fun, is having these great challenges, and a role like Lady Macbeth, who's been played by the brilliant actresses of our time. It's an honor, and to have wanted to play her for so long was really amazing. But my favorite role of all time was a new play. We have a new play program at Alabama Shakespeare Festival, the Southern Writers Festival. And there's a book by Lee Smith called Fair and Tender Ladies that was adapted to a play by Eric Schmiedel, Karen Pell, Tommy Goldsmith, and Tom House, directed by Susan Willis. And it's about a girl in Appalachia, Virginia, from age 12 to age 70. And it's full of bluegrass music. I had to sing.
Oh,
You were singing?
Yeah, yeah. That role meant more to me
Yes.
because I found a part of me I had no idea existed.
in what way?
My people are from the mountains.
Ah, okay.
You know,
Okay.
they came over from Europe and went to Appalachia. I never met any of them,
Yeah.
but it was like taking on a role bone marrow deep.
Yes.
I knew her. Now, granted, it's a great text. Lee Smith has written a beautiful book. It's all epistolary novel, letters. So you know the characters, every thought. And I had played characters before where I had to do an age range. But I never left stage except intermission.
I did hear that in
Yes.
some of the other interviews you had done, and that sounded exhausting, challenging, and amazing all at the same time.
Oh, it was a thrill. It was a thrill because the music was so good, and Karen Pell helped me learn how to sing because I don't know how to sing. But there's something about bluegrass music that just
It reaches down into your bone marrow.
really does.
It does.
It really does, and it was in me,
Yes.
and I never knew it.
Right. That's so. I'm loving that because to think that not only did you have to be another character, but you had to sing and have breakdowns and other things. That's
Well, I can't imagine uncovering that many, like an onion, peeling back that many layers of myself. I just, I think about I am who I am. What you see is what you get, pretty much, most all the time. But I can't imagine peeling back a layer and another layer and then another layer, and until I discover something else that's
Right.
in there.
But
you
that's
know?
how she got to be the incredible actor. And
Absolutely.
That's how
It's-
we're just asking her questions
Yeah,
about what it's
that's-
like to be an incredible
Yeah,
actor.
that's why we're on this side of the microphone.
That's exactly right.
That's the joy of acting, is that peeling away. And I'm very shy as a person, and so acting lets me be me in all those different layers.
Well, you're not the first person I've ever heard say that. But
Yeah.
give us a little more insight into that. How can you be reserved or shy in any way, but then you're on stage and nothing is shy about that?
I don't know what it is. The theater gives you permission.
I can see that. I really can. I can see that.
It does. Those are like the big heavy roles I've played. But then I also had a chance to do like screwball comedy with noises off. And that was so much fun because, I was almost running into doors, and
Yes.
it was very physical. And then a play like Season's Greetings, where I play the drunk aunt, to play this constantly drunk person sliding down banisters, and that's just fun, just pure fun, finding all those crazy.
And having several hundred people watch you do that.
yes, and not knowing that, gee, I have that in me.
Exactly. But it wasn't just theater. You also had some TV experiences as well.
A teeny bit, yes.
So, but that had to be, talk about that. You've said you were from Alabama,
Yes.
and now all of a sudden, at some point in your life, you were in Los Angeles in a studio. Talk about that.
Yes. Before I finally settled down in Montgomery, I was in Rochester, New York at a new play festival, and it was run by Anthony Zerbe. I don't know if you remember him from The Young Riders and many old TV shows. And he kept saying to me, I think maybe it was a line, that I seemed French to him. And his agent came to see him, and he said, and he knew I loved spies, and he said, come to dinner and meet my agent. Well, I got to the table, and he said, so this is Greta. She's from France, but she's in this new play festival. And I thought, okay, eventually he's going to say, she was just
Right.
So I had to go through the whole meal being French, but speaking
Yes.
Accent.
with an accent, but speaking English because I sure can't speak French. And so because
He really put you on, didn't he? He put you on the spot.
yes, he did. But because he tricked his agent, he then convinced his agent to get them to write an episode of The Young Riders where this woman comes into town and seduces Teaspoon, his character, pretending to be French. And so that was a great joy
Yes.
to do that. And we were on location in Arizona somewhere, you know, in one of those great old towns that they have
Yes.
set up just for the TV show. Josh Brolin was in that show. But that was great fun.
I know that was. I know that had to be fun.
Yes.
You in your years with the Shakespeare Festival here, you retired from there as a staff member, and as a staff member, you had several different duties, and tell us a little bit about those, about your time as a staff member there. And we know that you wove, I don't know if that's a word or not, your work as an actress with your responsibilities as an administrator. And, and those things would be kind of difficult, it would seem like, to carry on at the same time. But you successfully did that for many years. So what's the gig there?
I started out as a teacher in the MFA program. I would teach period styles and acting classes and do some vocal coaching. In fact, I mentored with the voice teacher, Jan Gist, to learn how to teach dialect and how to teach voice. And that's how it started. And so eventually I became director of education, in charge of all the classes, and we're talking classes for little kids, teenagers, adults, and summer camps. And I did that for many years, maybe 15 years. And again, I discovered a great role in myself of teacher.
Thank you for being with us for part 1 of Doug and Vicki's wonderful conversation with the amazing Greta Lambert. Join us in 2 weeks on October 3rd for part 2. In the meantime, enjoy all of our episodes already streaming, featuring many successful and interesting guests.